KZN, as you know, badly affected in the last few years by heavy rains and floods. Often the poorest and most vulnerable were most affected by the impact of climate change. We join now about the impact of changing weather patterns by Desmond D'sa from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance. Desmond, good afternoon to you. You've suggested that this flooding is directly the result of climate change. Why do you believe that?
Well, it's happening all over the world. It's happened quite a number of years now, and this is a reminder that we have been talking to government in 1997, and we had that huge flood. And continuously, government has said that they're able to manage, they can adapt to the changing climate, and they will have the necessary resources to deal with the problem. Clearly, they don't have it, and the climate change is getting worse. As we have seen with this flood that has taken place for over a number of days. I mean, we've been driving around the communities, and, it's clearly that the stormwater drains have not been maintained over a number of years. But more importantly is that they've got no plan. There is no plan to go and inform people. People are still hanging on roofs. As of today, as I talk to you, people are still being hanging on roofs. They're unable to be rescued. Government hasn't got a plan. All the roads are blocked. Policemen are just on the main roads and the main freeways. But they're doing nothing there besides shining their lights. It's not as if the police are out there removing or evacuating people. People have not been evacuated, and a lot of people have lost their lives. We must be able to hold the government accountable for not acting in their interest. And when Cyril Ramaphosa was elected, he came to Durban after the huge flood we had here in the province. And he came here where 70 people died. And he made a commitment that he will ensure that the disaster management plan works for all the people. But we see now with this flood that the disaster management plan does not work for anyone. That's because there's a lack of government in the city and in the province as a whole.
I mean, to have a disaster management plan, to be able to manage a disaster requires a huge amount of resources. Do you really believe that KwaZulu-Natal and the city of eThekwini have those resources?
They don't have. Most of the money over the years has been shifted to other sexy projects, such as your Indabas, such as your big events. And they've moved the money away from the major infrastructure projects where they could have resolved a lot of the issues. That is the problem. The problem is that the budgets that were allocated for these major projects to ensure that disasters of this nature will be dealt with and it doesn't impact on the society as a whole. We've seen now, once again, that a disaster of this nature, that they don't have the resources. The fire brigade, the fire officers in Durban is under-resourced. We've seen that with huge explosions and fires that have occurred during the looting. The fire resources are under-resourced. They don't have the necessary equipment. And we've seen with the impact of this flooding and all that's taking place throughout the city, that there's definitely no resources for the police, for all the security services, for all the major infrastructure departments such as water, sanitation and all that there. We just don't have it.
So you talk about climate change. You've suggested in the past that government has failed people. You refer to what President Cyril Ramaphosa said. The Natref refinery, of course, is in Durban. It may have played a role in climate change. The problem is that for all societies, and particularly ours, which is generally a poor society, to try and move away from petrol-driven cars, to try and move away from coal-fired power stations is a process. It's not a quick process. You can't just do it like that. What that means is that we have a situation where you make demands of government, Desmond. I've spoken to you about them before. I have no argument with what you say, but it can't be done quickly.
No, we understand that. That is why there has to be a just transition away from fossil fuel. There has to be investment. Government is getting, after the Glasgow Agreement, huge announcements about the US and the West providing a lot of money to give South Africa an opportunity to move away. What are they going to do with that money? They need to take the citizens in this country, in this city, in their confidence so that we can sit down and know exactly where this money is going to, and if it's really going to the needs of the poor people and moving to a just transition. Clearly, that is not happening. There's no discussions with community groups. There's no discussions to create jobs that are energy efficient, but more critically, that move us away from the causes of climate change in South Africa. And it can be done. It's been done in Egypt. It's been done in Morocco. It's done in Tunisia. And they're supplying energy needs of the European countries. Why can't it be done? It's done in South Africa. In some parts of South Africa, in the Northern Cape and in the Eastern Cape, we have windmills, we have solar farms. Why can't we expand that project so that it will kill two birds with one stone, create millions of jobs at the same time, don't harm the environment, and it will not cause more climate problems that we're experiencing right now? Because the earth is globally warming.
All right, Desmond, we'll leave it there. Desmond D'sa, thank you, from the South Durban Environmental Alliance.